The little girl sat alone on the concrete steps outside the gleaming corporate tower of Whitman Technologies. Her tiny shoulders hunched against an invisible weight, expensive dress unable to hide the tremble in her small hands as she clutched a stuffed rabbit missing one eye. Security guards walked past with barely a glance. Executives hurried by, attention locked on smartphone screens. But Ryan Dawson stopped. At 44, Ryan's weathered face told stories his lips rarely shared. The lines around his eyes deepened as he surveyed the scene, posture automatically shifting to a subtle defensive stance. Old habits from special forces, days that had never quite faded. His worn work uniform with building maintenance stitched above the pocket contrasted sharply with the polished marble entrance behind him. Ryan knelt slowly before the child, movement deliberate, non-threatening. The brown paper lunch bag crinkled as he opened it with calloused hands. "Rough day?" His voice carried the gravelly texture of a man who'd shouted orders through sandstorms. The girl looked up, startled, red-rimmed eyes meeting his. She didn't speak, just stared with the weariness of someone far older than her 7 years. Ryan nodded as if they'd had an entire conversation. "Yeah, I get those too." He pulled out a sandwich, neatly wrapped in wax paper and tore it in half. "Turkey and Swiss, not fancy, but my boy says it's the best in 3 counties. He held out the larger portion. "Seems like you could use this more than me." Behind them, the distinctive click of high heels on concrete paused. Ryan's ears, trained to detect the subtlest sounds in hostile territory, registered the presence, but he kept his focus on the child. The girl's small hand reached out hesitantly and took the sandwich half. "I'm Ryan." A whispered reply. "Lily. Nice to meet you, Lily." Ryan settled beside her on the step, leaving careful space between them. "Mind if I join you for lunch?" As Lily took a small bite, Ryan felt eyes boring into his back, calculating, assessing. He recognized the weight of that stare from countless missions. Someone was watching, evaluating, making decisions that would change everything. Neither Ryan nor Lily noticed the sleek black car with tinted windows across the street or the man inside taking photographs of their exchange. Ryan Dawson's day had begun like every other at 4:30 a.m. with a soft beep of his watch alarm. He'd silenced it before it completed its second chirp, a habit formed in terrain where sound meant death. His small apartment was still dark as he moved silently to his son's room, placing a gentle hand on Noah's forehead. The boy's breathing was steady tonight, no wheezing. Ryan allowed himself a moment of relief before beginning his morning ritual. Coffee, medications for Noah arranged by the breakfast plate, lunch packed, 1 sandwich, an apple, and a protein bar. Bills sorted into 3 piles. Paid, must pay, and impossible. The last pile grew taller each month, dominated by medical statements with red stamps declaring past due. Ryan stared at his son's inhaler prescription. Refill needed, 170 without insurance. His jaw tightened as he tucked his last 20 into Noah's lunch money envelope. "Dad?" Noah appeared in the doorway, hair tousled from sleep, looking smaller than his 7 years in oversized pajamas. "You're doing the worry face again." Ryan's expression immediately softened. "Just thinking, buddy. How's the breathing this morning?" "Good." Noah shuffled to the table, climbing onto his chair. "Did you make another sandwich sacrifice to the lunch gods?" Ryan smiled, the rare expression transforming his stern features. "What makes you say that?" "'Cause your lunch bag looks empty." Noah pointed to the paper bag containing only an apple and protein bar. "Sharp eyes, just like your old man." Ryan ruffled his son's hair. "Mrs. Henderson next door made too much casserole yesterday. She's sending me with leftovers." The lie came easily, cushioned by necessity. Noah didn't need to know that Mrs. Henderson had been gone all week visiting her sister, or that Ryan would work through lunch again. What mattered was the medicine, the rent, and keeping his boy's world intact after Melissa's death 3 years ago. "Get ready for school, soldier." Bus comes in 20. Ryan straightened to his full height, giving a playful salute that Noah returned with giggling seriousness. As Noah dressed, Ryan allowed himself one moment of weakness. Leaning against the kitchen counter, eyes closed, shoulders momentarily slumped. The photograph on the refrigerator caught his attention. Himself in desert camo, arms slung around another soldier. David Whitman grinned back at the camera, both men younger, less burdened. Ryan touched the image briefly, the familiar ache in his chest flaring. I'm keeping my promise, David, no matter what it takes. The maintenance corridors of Whitman Technologies formed a labyrinth of pipes, electrical panels, and service elevators that Ryan navigated with practiced efficiency. His tool belt clinked softly against his hip as he moved through the building's skeleton, invisible to the corporate world that pulsed on the other side of the walls. It was a different kind of reconnaissance, less deadly but requiring the same attention to detail. Ryan checked his watch, 10:45 a.m. He'd skipped the employee break room, avoiding pitying glances when others noticed his empty lunch table spot again. The encounter with the little girl on the steps had delayed his maintenance schedule, but he couldn't bring himself to regret it. Something in her eyes reminded him too much of Noah after the funeral. Lost, confused, trying to be brave when the world made no sense. His radio crackled. Dawson, we need you on 32, executive bathroom leak. Copy that, on my way. Ryan adjusted his course, taking the service elevator to the executive floor, a rare venture into the company's gleaming upper realm. The 32nd floor was another world, all glass, chrome, and hushed conversations. Assistants with perfect hair moved between offices carrying tablets instead of tools. Ryan kept his eyes forward, ignoring curious glances at his uniform as he followed the discreet signs to the executive restroom. He was kneeling beside the sink cabinet, wrench in hand, when the bathroom door swung open. I don't care what the board thinks, James. The security protocols aren't negotiable. The woman's voice was crisp, authoritative, the kind accustomed to being obeyed. Ryan remained focused on his work, invisible as always to the executives. Claire, be reasonable. The new system is causing delays across all departments. The quarterly numbers will preserve our commitment to protecting our technology. The woman, Claire, cut him off sharply. After the breach last month, we can't afford another vulnerability. Ryan's hands stilled momentarily. Security breach. The company rumor mill had mentioned nothing about this. The leak has been contained. The man, James, lowered his voice. No one outside the executive team knows. Someone always knows, James. That's why I've authorized additional measures. Their voices moved toward the mirror. Ryan caught their reflections without looking up. The woman elegant in a tailored suit, her dark hair pulled into a severe bun. The man older, with silver temples and a perpetual frown. This discussion is over. I expect your compliance report by end of day. As they turned to leave, Claire's eyes flickered to Ryan for the first time. He kept his focus on the pipes, playing his role perfectly. Just another maintenance worker, invisible and unhearing. The bathroom door closed behind them. Ryan waited 30 seconds before sitting back on his heels, processing what he'd overheard. Security breach. Contained leak. Additional measures. The information slotted into his mind like pieces of mission intelligence. His radio buzzed again. Dawson, report to HR immediately. Ryan's stomach tightened. Had they realized he'd overheard? Copy that. Finishing up here first. Negative. Now, Dawson. Executive order. The HR office was sterile and impersonal as a military briefing room. Ryan sat stiffly in the visitor's chair, his tool belt and uniform out of place among the motivational posters and ergonomic furniture. The HR director, a woman with a practiced MO and cold eyes, placed a folder on the desk between them. Mr. Dawson, we've been asked to escort you to the executive floor. Is there a problem with my work? Ryan kept his voice neutral, face unreadable. On the contrary, the smile didn't reach her eyes. Ms. Whitman has specifically requested you. Ryan's pulse quickened slightly. Whitman? The name still hit like shrapnel even after 5 years. Surely a coincidence. Whitman was a common name after all. May I ask why? That's between you and Ms. Whitman. The HR director stood. Please follow me. They rode the elevator in silence, ascending to the uppermost floor. Ryan cataloged escape routes and security cameras out of habit, noting the increased presence of guards as they approached the CEO suite. The mahogany double doors opened to reveal a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. And there she was, the woman from the bathroom, standing with her back to him, staring out at the skyline. The HR director slipped away, closing the door softly behind her. Ryan Dawson, the woman said without turning. Former Staff Sergeant, 5th Special Forces Group, expert in tactical operations, communications, and mechanical systems. She turned slowly, honorably discharged 5 years ago following the Khorasan province incident. Ryan stood at parade rest, his face impassive despite the jolt that ran through him at the mention of Khorasan. "Yes, ma'am. Do you know who I am, Mr. Dawson?" She approached her desk, moving with the controlled precision of someone who measured every action. "You're Ms. Whitman, the CEO." Ryan maintained eye contact, revealing nothing. She studied him for a long moment. "Claire Whitman, though my legal name is Claire Whitman Davidson." The room seemed to tilt slightly. Ryan's mind raced through implications, possibilities. Could it be? "You still don't recognize me?" It wasn't a question. She opened a drawer and removed a photograph, placing it on the desk between them. "Perhaps this will help." Ryan looked down. The same photograph that hung on his refrigerator stared back. Himself and David Whitman in desert camo, arms around each other's shoulders. His throat tightened. "You're David's wife. Widow." Her voice tight. "5 years now, thanks to Khorasan." The air in the room grew heavy with unspoken accusations. Ryan maintained his composure through decades of discipline, though his heart hammered against his ribs. "I wasn't aware David had a child. Lily was 2 when he died." Claire's expression hardened. Too young to remember her father, old enough to feel his absence every day. Ryan absorbed this information like a physical blow. "I'm sorry for your loss, ma'am. David was the best of us." "Yes, he was." Claire moved around her desk, leaning against it. "Tell me, Mr. Dawson, why did you give half your lunch to my daughter today?" The abrupt change of subject caught him off guard. She looked like she needed it more than I did. A simple act of kindness. Claire's tone was skeptical. "Or did you know who she was?" Ryan's jaw tightened. "With all due respect, ma'am, I didn't know who either of you were until this moment." Claire studied him, searching for deception. Finding none, she straightened. "Lily ran away from her caretaker this morning. She's been doing that more frequently lately." She paused. "The security team missed her. So did her nanny. But you didn't. I noticed things," Ryan said simply. "Old habit." "Yes, I imagine it is." Claire pressed a button on her desk. A moment later, the door opened and Lily entered, clutching her one-eyed rabbit. She stopped short when she saw Ryan, her eyes widening. "Sandwich man," she whispered. Despite everything, Ryan's mouth curved slightly. "Hey there, Lily." Lily looked between Ryan and her mother, uncertainty written across her small features. "Lily," Claire said gently, "this is Mr. Dawson. He used to work with your father." The little girl's expression transformed instantly. She rushed forward, stopping just before Ryan, suddenly shy but vibrating with eagerness. "You knew my daddy?" Ryan knelt to her level the way he always did with Noah. "Yes, I did. He was my friend." The words felt inadequate for the bond forged in gunfire and blood, but they were true enough. "Was he brave?" Lily asked, her voice small but intense. "The bravest man I ever knew." Ryan's voice roughened slightly. "He saved my life more than once." Claire watched this exchange, her expression unreadable. After a moment, she spoke to her daughter. "Lily, Miss Chen is waiting to take you to your piano lesson. We'll talk more about this later." Lily looked disappointed but nodded. "Will you be here again?" she asked Ryan. Before Ryan could answer, Claire interjected. "Mr. Dawson works here, Lily. Now go with Miss Chen, please." When the door closed behind Lily, the atmosphere in the room changed instantly. Claire's professional mask slipped, revealing raw emotion beneath. "You shouldn't have told her that," she said sharply. "Which part?" Ryan straightened to his full height. "The part where her father was brave, or the part where he saved my life?" "Any of it!" Claire snapped. "Do you have any idea how difficult it's been raising a child who constantly asks about a father she never really knew? Every new detail becomes an obsession." Ryan remained silent, sensing the grief beneath her anger. Claire composed herself with visible effort. "I didn't bring you here to discuss David." "Then why did you bring me here, ma'am?" She returned to her desk, all business once more. "I have a proposition for you, Mr. Dawson, one that would benefit us both." Ryan waited, skeptical. "I've reviewed your employment file. You've been with building maintenance for 3 years despite being significantly overqualified. Your performance evaluations are excellent, but you've turned down 2 promotions." She fixed him with a penetrating gaze. "A man with your skills could earn far more elsewhere." "I need the flexibility for my son," Ryan said simply. "He has severe asthma. The schedule works for doctor appointments." Claire nodded. Noah, age 7, your wife Melissa died in a car accident 3 years ago. She noted his surprise. Yes, I've done my research. What exactly are you proposing, Ms. Whitman? I need someone I can trust. She emphasized the word trust, as if testing its weight. Someone with your particular skill set who understands both security protocols and people. Whitman Technologies is facing challenges, internal and external. I'm a maintenance technician, not corporate security. Don't insult my intelligence, Mr. Dawson. Claire's tone sharpened. You were special forces. Your technical aptitude scores are off the charts. You're observant, resourceful, and clearly capable of discretion. And most importantly, you knew David. You owe him. The last three words landed like precise strikes. Ryan's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. I'm offering you a position as special advisor for operational integrity. You'll work directly with me, assessing our internal culture, security protocols, and potential vulnerabilities. Claire slid a folder across the desk. The salary is triple what you currently make, with full medical benefits for both you and Noah. Ryan didn't reach for the folder. Why me? You have a building full of executives and security professionals. Claire's expression darkened. Because someone inside this company is trying to steal technology that could change the world. Technology David helped develop. And I don't know who I can trust. And you trust me because of David? Ryan asked skeptically. I trust you because you stopped for my daughter when no one else did. Claire's voice softened fractionally. And because David trusted you with his life. Ryan finally opened the folder. The contract inside outlined responsibilities that went far beyond consulting. Intelligence gathering, personnel assessment, security protocol development. The salary figure made his breath catch. Enough to cover Noah's medical bills, enough for them to move to a better apartment, maybe even start a college fund. There's one more thing, Claire added. Lily has become attached to the idea of you already. She needs stability, male influence. Part of this role would involve being present for her occasionally. Company events, certain outings, nothing excessive. Ryan looked up sharply. You want me to be some kind of substitute father figure? I want you to be a connection to her real father. Claire corrected, and to provide the security expertise this company desperately needs. Ryan closed the folder. I'll need time to consider this. You have until tomorrow morning. Claire stood, signaling the end of the meeting. This opportunity won't come again, Mr. Dawson. As Ryan turned to leave, she added, and Ryan, no one can know about this arrangement, not even your son. As far as anyone is concerned, you're a corporate culture consultant who impressed me with your people skills. Ryan paused at the door. With all due respect, Miss Whitman, I don't lie to my son. Then consider it classified information, Claire countered, something I imagine you're familiar with. Their eyes locked in silent battle. Finally, Ryan gave a curt nod and left. Ryan's apartment felt smaller than usual that night, the walls closing in as he sat at the kitchen table, the contract spread before him. Noah was asleep in the next room, his breathing monitored by the second-hand medical device Ryan had repaired himself. The photograph of Ryan and David stared up at him from beside the contract, a ghost from another life, another world. Ryan ran a hand over his face, exhaustion seeping into his bones. His phone vibrated with a text message. Need your decision by 8 a.m. CW. Followed immediately by another. Noah's medical coverage would be retroactive to today, all existing bills covered. Ryan stared at the message, anger and gratitude warring within him. She was using his son as leverage, and it was working. He moved to Noah's doorway, watching his son sleep. The boy looked so much like Melissa, it sometimes hurt to look at him. The same determined chin, the same gentle expression, even in sleep. The inhaler sat on the bedside table nearly empty. The prescription refill form glared from the kitchen counter, a reminder of his failure to provide what his son needed most. Ryan made his decision. The executive floor was quiet at 7:45 a.m., most of the staff not yet arrived. Ryan wore the only suit he owned, purchased for Melissa's funeral and rarely worn since. It fit differently now, his frame leaner, harder. Claire was already at her desk, immaculate in a charcoal suit, hair pulled back severely. She looked up as he entered, her expression giving nothing away. Your decision, Mr. Dawson? Ryan placed the signed contract on her desk. I have conditions. Claire raised an eyebrow. You're hardly in a position to dictate terms. My son comes first. Ryan interrupted. If he has an asthma attack or medical emergency, I leave. No questions asked, no explanations needed. Claire studied him for a long moment before nodding. Acceptable. Anything else? I needed to know everything about the security breach. All of it. If I'm going to help protect this company and Lily, I can't work blind. Something flickered across Claire's face. Surprise, perhaps, that he'd included her daughter in his protection mandate. Some of that information is highly sensitive. I had top secret clearance for 8 years, ma'am. I know how to handle sensitive information. Claire considered this, then opened her laptop. Very well. James Harrison, my COO, will brief you this morning. She looked up. He doesn't know your full role here. As far as he's concerned, you're a corporate culture consultant I've brought in to address morale issues. Understood. Claire stood and extended her hand. Welcome to Whitman Technologies, Mr. Dawson. As they shook hands, Ryan caught a glimpse of Lily peering through the glass wall of Claire's office. Her one-eyed rabbit clutched to her chest. The little girl offered a small, secretive wave. Ryan nodded slightly in acknowledgement, already understanding that his commitment extended far beyond a contract. He was re-entering a world of secrets, danger, and obligation, this time without the protection of a uniform or the clarity of a declared enemy. Claire followed his gaze and saw her daughter. Her expression softened momentarily. She hasn't stopped talking about you since yesterday, the sandwich man who knew her daddy. Kids fixate on strange things sometimes, Ryan said quietly. It wasn't the sandwich, Claire replied, an unexpected vulnerability in her voice. It was that you saw her when no one else did. Before Ryan could respond, the office door opened and a silver-haired man entered, James Harrison, the same executive from the bathroom conversation. His eyes narrowed slightly at the sight of Ryan. Claire, the board is waiting in conference room A. His gaze flicked to Ryan's suit, then to their clasped hands. I wasn't aware we had visitors this morning. Claire released Ryan's hand, her CEO persona sliding seamlessly back into place. James, this is Ryan Dawson, our new special advisor for corporate culture and operational integrity. He'll be working directly with me on several initiatives. Harrison didn't bother hiding his surprise. A maintenance worker? Surely there are more qualified. Mr. Dawson has a unique skill set that perfectly matches our current needs, Claire interrupted coolly. He'll be joining the executive briefing starting today. Harrison's smile didn't reach his eyes. How unconventional. Welcome aboard, Dawson, he turned to Claire. We should proceed. The board doesn't like to be kept waiting. As they left, Harrison placed a proprietary hand on Claire's lower back. She subtly shifted away from his touch. A movement so slight most would miss it, but Ryan caught it, along with the flash of irritation in Harrison's eyes. Interesting. Very interesting. Alone in the office, Ryan moved to the window, surveying the city below. Somewhere out there, Noah was sitting in his second-grade classroom, breathing easier today, thanks to the inhaler Ryan had been able to refill this morning with the advance Claire had transferred to his account. A movement reflected in the glass caught his attention. Lily had slipped into the office and now stood watching him, her rabbit dangling from one hand. Hello again. Ryan turned. Are you going to work with my mom now? Lily asked directly. Looks that way. She nodded seriously. Good. She needs help. She's always worried. About what? Ryan asked, curious about the child's perception. Lily shrugged. Everything. The bad people trying to steal her work. Uncle James being mean when he thinks no one's looking. She hugged her rabbit tighter. She cries sometimes when she thinks I'm asleep. Ryan knelt to her level. Your mom seems pretty tough to me. Daddy used to say that too. Lily studied him with unsettling directness. But everyone needs backup. That's what Daddy called it. People who help when things get scary. Smart man, your dad, Ryan said quietly. Will you be Mom's backup? Lily asked, her voice small but intent. The question carried weight beyond the child's understanding. Ryan thought of David, of promises made in distant desert nights, of obligations that transcended death. I'll do my best, he said finally. Lily nodded as if this settled everything. She held out her rabbit suddenly. This is Captain Hoppy. Daddy gave him to me. He's missing an eye because he was brave in a battle. Ryan solemnly shook the rabbit's paw. Pleasure to meet you, Captain. Lily lowered her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. Captain Hoppy says you have sad eyes like Mommy because you miss someone too. The observation, so simple and devastating, caught Ryan off guard. Before he could respond, Claire's assistant appeared at the door. Lily, there you are. Your tutor's waiting. She looked apologetically at Ryan. I'm sorry, Mr. Dawson. She slips away sometimes. Lily reluctantly allowed herself to be let out, looking back at Ryan with a small wave. Ryan remained kneeling for a moment longer, steadying himself against the unexpected emotional ambush from a 7-year-old with uncanny perception. Finally, he stood and straightened his tie, preparing to enter the boardroom and begin his strange new role. His phone vibrated with text from Noah's school. Noah having mild asthma symptoms. Responding to inhaler. No need to pick up yet, but wanted to inform you. Ryan texted back confirmation, tension coiling in his chest. He needed this job, needed the medical coverage, the stability. For Noah's sake, he had to make this work. As he approached the boardroom, he heard raised voices through the partially open door. Can't just bring in unvetted personnel at this critical juncture, Harrison was saying heatedly. My company, my decision. Claire responded coolly. The board has already approved the position. Without knowing, you filled it with a maintenance worker with military baggage, a decorated veteran with extensive technical and security expertise, Claire corrected, and someone who understands loyalty. The implication hung in the air. Ryan stepped back, processing. The dynamics were clear. Harrison resented Ryan's presence, possibly feared it. Claire was using Ryan as a shield against something or someone within her own company. He was being played. The question was, by whom and to what end? Ryan squared his shoulders and entered the boardroom. All conversation ceased as heads turned toward him. Claire stood at the head of the table, her posture radiating authority, despite being the youngest and only woman in the room. Gentlemen, this is Ryan Dawson, our new special advisor. Her eyes met Ryan's, a silent message passing between them. He'll be leading our vulnerability assessment starting today. Vulnerability, the word choice was deliberate. Ryan understood instantly that she wasn't just talking about company systems. Mr. Dawson, Harrison said with forced cordiality, perhaps you could share your qualifications with the board. All eyes turned to Ryan expectantly. Claire watched, a subtle challenge in her gaze. Ryan smiled slightly, the expression never reaching his eyes. 15 years Special Forces, expert in identifying weaknesses, exploiting them, and eliminating threats. He let the military precision of his voice do its work. I find what's broken before it breaks you. The room fell silent. Several board members shifted uncomfortably. I look forward to working with each of you, Ryan continued smoothly, especially those of you with nothing to hide. Harrison's knuckles whitened around his pen. Claire's lips curved in the ghost of a smile. Let's begin, shall we? As the meeting commenced, Ryan observed the power dynamics at play, cataloging reactions, alliances, tensions. His military training had prepared him to read people as well as battlefields, to identify threats before they materialized. And there was definitely a threat in this room. He could feel it like an approaching storm. What had he gotten himself into? More importantly, what had Claire Whitman drawn him into? As if reading his thoughts, Claire glanced his way, her eyes conveying a simple message. Trust no one. Little did she know that had been Ryan's policy for 5 long years. Since Khorasan, since the mission that killed David Whitman and left Ryan with nightmares that woke him gasping in the dark. Some ghosts never died, some oaths never ended, and the silence between them concealed secrets that could destroy them all. Ryan stood in the executive bathroom, hands braced against the marble countertop, tie loosened and collar damp with sweat. The fluorescent lights highlighted the tension lines around his eyes. 2 weeks at Whitman Technologies had aged him more than 2 years in combat zones. He splashed cold water on his face, the shock bringing momentary clarity. In the mirror, his reflection stared back, a stranger in borrowed clothes playing a dangerous game. The expensive suit Claire had insisted on purchasing still felt like a costume. His phone vibrated, Noah's school again. Asthma symptoms returning, nurse monitoring, will update. Ryan's jaw tightened. Despite the comprehensive health care now covering Noah's treatments, his son's condition seemed to be worsening. The new medication wasn't working as well as promised. The specialist appointment was still 2 weeks away. The bathroom door swung open. Harrison entered, pausing slightly when he saw Ryan, his surprise quickly masked by a practiced smile. Dawson. Hiding from the board meeting? Harrison straightened his already perfect tie, positioning himself at the adjacent sink. Taking a moment to review my notes. Ryan kept his voice neutral, face unreadable. Harrison chuckled, the sound hollow. Notes, right? His eyes met Ryan's in the mirror. You know, I've been doing some note-taking of my own, about you. Ryan maintained his expression, though his senses shifted to high alert. Find anything interesting? Fascinating reading, actually. Harrison turned, leaning against the counter with calculated casualness. Your military record, or rather, the unredacted portions. Ryan dried his hands slowly, methodically. Public record, not all of it. Harrison's smile thinned. Khorasan, for instance. Quite the cluster from what I gather. The name hung between them like a live grenade. Ryan kept his breathing steady, expression unchanged despite the sudden roaring in his ears. I'm sure you have a point, Harrison. Just curious why Claire would hire the man who survived the mission that killed her husband. Harrison straightened his cuffs, especially since the details of that mission remain so mysteriously classified. Ryan turned to face him directly. You'd have to ask Ms. Whitman about her hiring decisions. Oh, I have. Harrison stepped closer, invading Ryan's personal space in a deliberate power move. She's quite evasive on the subject. Makes me wonder what she knows that I don't. Or perhaps what she doesn't know. Ryan held his ground, refusing to yield an inch. If you have concerns about my qualifications, take them up with the CEO. I'm more concerned about your intentions. Harrison's voice dropped. You appear out of nowhere, gain Claire's trust overnight, secure a position that didn't exist before. Very convenient timing considering our current situation. What situation would that be? Ryan asked, testing. Harrison's eyes narrowed. Playing dumb doesn't suit you, Dawson. We both know what's at stake here. He straightened, adjusting his tie once more. A word of advice. Whatever game you're playing, consider who might get caught in the crossfire. Like that asthmatic son of yours. The threat, so casually delivered, sent ice through Ryan's veins. His hand twitched at his side. Muscle memory from years of combat seeking a weapon that wasn't there. Threatening a child tells me everything I need to know about you, Harrison. Not a threat, an observation about vulnerability. Harrison moved toward the door. We all have them, even Claire Whitman. He paused, especially Claire Whitman. After Harrison left, Ryan remained motionless, processing. Harrison knew about Noah's condition, was actively investigating Ryan's military past, and had just issued what any reasonable person would interpret as a threat. The game had escalated faster than anticipated. Ryan's phone vibrated again. Meeting in my office now. CW. Claire's office was a fortress of glass and silence. She stood at the window, silhouetted against the city skyline, shoulders rigid with tension. When Ryan entered, she didn't turn. Close the door. Ryan complied, noting the security detail positioned outside. Not the usual guards, but two men with the unmistakable bearing of private military contractors. Things were deteriorating rapidly. Harrison's investigating my military background, Ryan said without preamble. Specifically Khorasan. I know. Claire finally turned, her face composed but eyes alert with controlled anger. He's been digging into everything since you arrived. Your finances, your son's medical records, your communications with military contacts. Ryan's pulse quickened. How do you know this? Because I've been monitoring him. Claire moved to her desk, typing a command on her laptop. The glass walls of her office instantly frosted over, providing privacy. What I'm about to show you doesn't leave this room. She turned the laptop toward him. On the screen was a detailed surveillance report. Phone records, email transcripts, financial transactions, all belonging to James Harrison. You're spying on your COO. Ryan stated the obvious, skimming the information with a tactician's eye. With good reason. Claire pulled up another file, a series of photographs. 3 weeks ago, our security team identified an unauthorized data transfer from our secure servers. Project Phoenix data was being methodically copied and transmitted to an external location. Ryan studied the images. They showed Harrison entering the server room after hours, using what appeared to be a modified access card. You have proof it was him. Why not fire him? Have him arrested? Claire's expression hardened. Because the evidence was mysteriously corrupted before I could act. And because Harrison has too many allies on the board. Without concrete proof, moving against him would trigger a corporate civil war I might not win. So you brought me in as, what, a ringer? Someone to help you gather evidence? I brought you in because you're the only person connected to this company that I know isn't in Harrison's pocket. Claire's composure slipped momentarily. And because David trusted you with his life. Ryan studied her, seeing past the CEO facade to the exhausted, cornered woman beneath. There's more you're not telling me. Claire hesitated, then reached into her desk drawer and removed a small device, a portable hard drive. Project Phoenix isn't just another corporate innovation. It's David's legacy. Her voice softened when speaking of her late husband, a quantum encryption system that could revolutionize data security worldwide. The military applications alone make it extremely valuable to competitors or foreign governments, Ryan concluded. Claire nodded. We've detected at least 3 sophisticated hacking attempts in the past month, but the real threat isn't external. Her eyes met his. It's internal. Someone's been systematically undermining our security protocols, creating backdoors, and using their position on the executive team to do it. Harrison, I believe so, but I need proof that will stand up to board scrutiny and legal challenges. Claire's fingers tightened around the hard drive. David died protecting similar technology in Coruscant. I won't let his final project fall into the wrong hands. The mention of Coruscant sent a familiar jolt of adrenaline through Ryan's system. The memories surfaced like shrapnel working its way to the skin, blood on sand. Desperate radio calls, David's voice cutting through gunfire. Get to the extraction point. That's an order, Dawson. Ryan pushed the memories down, focusing on the present threat. What exactly do you need from me? Find me proof. Concrete, irrefutable evidence of Harrison's activities. Use whatever methods necessary. Claire's expression was deadly serious. In the meantime, I need you to implement new security protocols, something Harrison won't anticipate or be able to circumvent. In my cover story, the corporate culture consultant role, maintain it. It gives you access to every department, every level of the company. Talk to people, gain their trust. Someone knows something. Claire slid a keycard across the desk. This gives you unrestricted access to all areas of the building. Ryan picked up the card, weighing the implications. Harrison threatened my son today. Claire's expression darkened. What did he say exactly? Ryan recounted the bathroom conversation verbatim. When he finished, Claire was silent for a long moment. I'll arrange additional security for Noah. She finally said, private, discreet. He won't even know they're there. No, Ryan's response was immediate, final. No surveillance on my son without my direct oversight. This isn't negotiable, Claire. Harrison has made it clear he's willing to target your family, which is exactly why I'll handle Noah's security myself. Their eyes locked in silent confrontation, neither willing to yield. Finally, Claire nodded once, a reluctant acknowledgement of his boundary. Have it your way, but if anything happens to Noah because of your stubbornness, nothing will happen to my son. Ryan interrupted, his tone leaving no room for doubt. Now tell me everything you know about Harrison's routine, his access points, and his vulnerabilities. For the next hour, they mapped out Harrison's activities, identifying patterns and potential weaknesses. As they worked, Ryan noticed Claire repeatedly glancing at her phone. Problem, he finally asked. Lily's school called. She had another episode. Claire's voice remained professional, but Ryan caught the undertone of worry. Panic attack. Third one this month. Ryan remembered the small, solemn girl with the one-eyed rabbit. Is she getting help? The best child psychologist money can buy. Claire's lips pressed into a thin line. They say she's struggling with abandonment issues. Apparently, it's common in children who've lost a parent. The shared understanding hung between them both. Single parents trying to protect children marked by loss. Noah has nightmares, Ryan offered unexpectedly. Calls out for his mother. Doesn't remember it in the morning. Claire looked up, surprise flickering across her features at this personal disclosure. Lily sleepwalks, ends up in David's old office, curled up in his chair. A moment of connection, brief but genuine. Then Claire straightened. professional mask sliding back into place. I want preliminary security recommendations by tomorrow morning, and I need you to start vetting the technical team discreetly. One of them may be helping Harrison. Ryan nodded, recognizing the dismissal. As he turned to leave, Claire called after him. Ryan, don't trust anyone, not even me. Verify everything. He paused at the door. Is that what David would have advised? A flash of something, pain perhaps, crossed Claire's face. David was trusting to a fault. It's what got him killed. The words hit with precision, reopening old wounds. Ryan left without responding, the weight of unspoken history heavy between them. The technical department of Whitman Technologies occupied the entire 15th floor, a sprawling landscape of workstations, test labs, and collaborative spaces. Ryan moved through it methodically, building on his cover as the corporate culture consultant while gathering intelligence on the Project Phoenix team. He'd spent the morning conducting employee satisfaction interviews, strategically selecting staff members with access to the project's various components. The picture emerging was troubling. Multiple security protocols had been relaxed in recent months, always with executive authorization, specifically James Harrison's. Now, Ryan sat across from Sophia Reyes, lead encryption engineer and, according to Claire's files, one of David Whitman's original team members. Unlike the other staff who had been either nervous or dismissive of Ryan's questions, Reyes regarded him with open suspicion. These don't sound like culture questions, Mr. Dawson, she said, tapping her stylus against her tablet. They sound like security audit questions. Ryan smiled disarmingly. Company culture includes how safe people feel at work, both physically and digitally. Uh-huh. Reyes wasn't buying it. And your background in building maintenance qualified you for this role. How exactly? You'd be surprised what you learn fixing things that others break. Ryan replied evenly. People talk around the maintenance guy. They reveal things. Reyes studied him, her sharp intelligence evident. What are you really doing here, Dawson? Because Claire Whitman doesn't hire people without a specific purpose in mind. Ryan decided to take a calculated risk. What do you know about Project Phoenix's security protocols being altered? Rhea's eyes widened slightly, confirmation that Ryan had struck a nerve. She glanced around the open workspace, then lowered her voice. Not here. Meet me in Lab C at 7 p.m. after most people have left. Ryan nodded once, keeping his expression neutral for any watching eyes. Thank you for your feedback on our company culture initiatives, Ms. Reyes. Your insights are valuable. As he stood to leave, Reyes added in a normal volume, you might want to check with the UX team on the 12th floor. I hear they have some strong opinions about the cafeteria situation. A cover suggestion. Smart woman. Ryan spent the next several hours methodically working his way through the technical department, mapping relationships, identifying potential vulnerabilities, both technical and human. He kept his questions innocuous, his manner unassuming, but his mind cataloged every reaction, every hesitation, every glance toward Harrison's office. At 6:45 p.m., his phone vibrated with a text from Claire. Harrison called emergency executive meeting for tomorrow morning. Claims to have significant security concerns to address. Ryan frowned. Harrison was accelerating his timeline, which meant Ryan needed to do the same. Understood. Meeting Reyes now. We'll update after. He made his way to Lab C, a secure testing facility tucked away in the northeast corner of the floor. His new access card granted him entry to the otherwise restricted area. Inside, the lab hummed with the sound of advanced computing equipment. Monitors displayed lines of code and simulation models that Ryan recognized as encryption algorithms. Reyes was already there, her back to the door, fingers flying across a specialized keyboard. You're 3 minutes early, she said without turning around. Military habit. Something like that. Ryan remained near the door, positioning himself to observe both Reyes in the lab entrance. You wanted to talk privately. Reyes finished her typing sequence, then spun her chair to face him. First, I need to know who you really are and why Claire brought you in now, of all times. I'm exactly who she says I am. A consultant helping identify company vulnerabilities. Reyes's bluntness was refreshing after weeks of corporate doublespeak. You carry yourself like military. Your eyes constantly scan for threats, and you ask questions that have nothing to do with corporate culture. Ryan maintained his calm exterior. Why did you agree to meet if you don't trust me? Because something's wrong with Phoenix and no one will listen. Reyes's expression hardened. Security protocols I personally designed have been altered. Access restrictions removed. And every time I flag it, Harrison overrides my concerns, citing operational efficiency. Now they were getting somewhere. When did this start? 3 months ago, right after the last board evaluation of the project. Reyes stood and moved to a secondary workstation. Look at this. She pulled up a series of security logs, highlighting specific entries. These are authorized changes to the biometric verification system, all approved by Harrison using his executive override. Ryan studied the logs, noting the systematic pattern of security degradation. Have you brought this to Claire? Tried twice. Both times, my evidence mysteriously disappeared from the secure server before I could present it. Reyes's frustration was evident. And now Harrison has restricted my access to certain parts of the project, parts I designed. Why would Claire allow that? Because Claire doesn't know. The restrictions were implemented under her digital signature, but I'm certain she didn't authorize them. Reyes lowered her voice further. Someone has access to her authentication credentials. The implications were serious. If Harrison had compromised Claire's digital signature, he could authorize virtually anything within the company's systems. Can you prove it wasn't her? Reyes hesitated. Maybe. I've been running my own private audit, tracking login locations and timestamps against Claire's known schedule. There are discrepancies, but it's not conclusive. I need that data, Ryan said. And I need to know why I should trust you with it. Reyes crossed her arms. For all I know, you're working with Harrison. Ryan weighed his options. Full disclosure would be dangerous for all involved, but Reyes clearly needed more to gain her cooperation. I knew David Whitman, he said finally. We served together. I'm here because Claire believes Harrison is trying to steal Phoenix, David's final project. Reyes's expression shifted, surprise giving way to cautious belief. David never mentioned you. He wouldn't have. Our work was classified. Reyes studied him intently, seemingly searching for deception. Finally, she nodded once. David had a personal security protocol he built into Phoenix, something he never documented officially, but showed me once. A backdoor only he could access. Ryan tensed. A security vulnerability. No, the opposite. A hidden layer of protection that activates if someone attempts to extract the complete code base. Reyes's eyes gleamed with professional pride. It segments the encryption keys, making the stolen data useless without all the fragments. And where are these fragments stored? That's just it. I don't know all the locations. David kept that information compartmentalized. Reyes looked troubled. But someone's been trying to locate them. There have been targeted searches through David's old files, his archived emails. Harrison, Ryan concluded, most likely with help from someone with deep technical knowledge of the system architecture. Reyes's implication was clear. There was another traitor within the technical team. Ryan processed this information, fitting it into the larger picture forming in his mind. I need you to compile everything you have on these security changes, the access logs, and the search patterns through David's files. Can you do that without alerting Harrison? Reyes nodded. I've been documenting everything on an air-gapped system, but getting this information to Claire will be tricky. Harrison monitors all communications to her office. Don't worry about delivery. I'll handle that part. Ryan moved toward the door. How quickly can you compile the data? I can have it ready by tomorrow morning. Make it tonight. Harrison's called an emergency executive meeting for tomorrow. Whatever he's planning, we need to be ahead of it. Reyes looked alarmed. That doesn't give me much time. Welcome to my world, Ryan said grimly. Meet me in the parking garage, level B2 at 11 p.m. Come alone and make sure you're not followed. As Ryan turned to leave, Reyes called after him. Dawson, if Harrison really is trying to steal Phoenix, he won't stop at corporate espionage. David believed this technology could change global security paradigms. People have killed for less. I'm counting on it, Ryan replied, his hand unconsciously moving to where his sidearm would have been in his military days. Just be careful. Trust no one. Not even you? Reyes asked pointedly. Ryan met her gaze steadily. Especially not me. Verify everything. A ghost of a smile touched Reyes's lips. Now you sound like David. The comparison sent an unexpected pang through Ryan's chest as he left the lab. David Whitman's shadow seemed to grow longer with each passing day at the company, a constant reminder of Ryan's failure to protect his friend in Khorasan. Some debts could never be repaid, but perhaps they could be honored. The parking garage was deserted at 10:55 p.m., the concrete structure echoing with the distant sounds of the city. Ryan had arrived 30 minutes early, sweeping the area for surveillance devices and potential ambush points. Old habits died hard. He positioned himself near a concrete pillar, back protected, with clear sight lines to all approaches. His rental car was parked nearby, engine still warm from his quick trip to check on Noah. His son had been sleeping peacefully when Ryan slipped into their apartment, the new asthma medication finally taking effect. Ryan had stood in the doorway, watching Noah's steady breathing for several precious minutes, the sight centering him amid the day's chaos. Before leaving, he had double-checked the new security measures he'd installed: discreetly upgraded locks, window sensors, and a panic button disguised as a nightlight beside Noah's bed. Now, as he waited for Reyes, Ryan reviewed his mental map of the situation. Harrison was moving quickly, likely aware that Ryan was closing in. The emergency board meeting suggested he was preparing to make his move, either securing the remaining fragments of Phoenix or orchestrating Claire's removal as CEO. The sound of approaching footsteps pulled Ryan from his thoughts. Reyes emerged from the stairwell, a tablet clutched to her chest, eyes darting nervously around the dimly lit garage. Ryan stepped slightly into the light, allowing her to see him without speaking. Reyes hurried over, relief evident in her posture. "I was worried you wouldn't be here," she said quietly. "Did anyone follow you?" "No, I took the service elevator down to the loading dock, then doubled back through the maintenance corridors." Reyes handed him the tablet. "Everything's here. Security logs, access changes, timestamp discrepancies, plus my analysis of the search patterns through David's archive files." Ryan took the device quickly, verifying its contents. "This is exactly what we need. Good work. There's something else." Reyes glanced around again before continuing. "I found a hidden subroutine in the Phoenix architecture, something even I wasn't aware of until I started digging deeper." Ryan looked up sharply. "What kind of subroutine?" "It's like a digital dead man's switch. If certain parameters are met, parameters I can't fully determine, the entire system initiates a shutdown sequence and sends alerts to multiple external servers." Reyes's expression was troubled. "The code signature matches David's personal style, but it's not documented anywhere in the official architecture." "A fail-safe," Ryan murmured. "Something he built in case the technology fell into the wrong hands." Reyes nodded. "And there's more. The subroutine contains encrypted coordinates, physical locations, 5 of them, the fragment locations." Ryan concluded. "He built a map into the system itself." "Exactly. But accessing those coordinates requires an encryption key I don't have." Reyes looked frustrated. "Without it, they're just meaningless strings of numbers." Ryan's mind raced with implications. If David had built a failsafe into Phoenix, complete with a hidden map to the encryption fragments, he must have anticipated the technology being compromised, which meant he'd also have ensured someone could access that failsafe if needed. "Thank you, Sophia. This may be exactly what we need." Ryan secured the tablet inside his jacket. "Go home now. Different route than you came. And don't come in tomorrow morning." Reyes frowned. "But the board meeting? Take a sick day. Trust me on this." Ryan's tone left no room for argument. "And delete any copies of this data from your personal devices." "Already done. That tablet contains the only copy." Reyes hesitated. "Be careful, Dawson. Harrison has more resources than you might expect for a show." Ryan nodded grimly. "I'm counting on it." After Reyes departed, Ryan remained in the garage for several more minutes, processing the new information. The tablet contained enough evidence to at least raise serious questions about Harrison's activities, but Ryan suspected it wouldn't be enough to remove him entirely. Harrison had clearly been preparing for this confrontation, building allies on the board and creating plausible deniability for his actions. What they needed was irrefutable proof of his intent to steal and sell Phoenix technology, and for that, Ryan needed to get inside Harrison's private files. He was about to leave when his phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. "Behind you." Ryan's combat instincts kicked in instantly. He dropped and rolled toward the nearest vehicle, drawing the tactical folding knife he kept in his ankle holster, the only weapon he allowed himself to carry in civilian life. The garage remained silent, no movement visible in any direction. Ryan stayed low, chanting methodically, controlling his breathing as he'd been trained to do in ambush situations. His phone vibrated again. NW Corner, black sedan, get in. Ryan spotted the vehicle, a nondescript black Audi with tinted windows parked in the shadows. The driver's identity was obscured, but something about the silhouette seemed familiar. Against every instinct, Ryan approached cautiously, keeping the parked cars between himself and the sedan for cover. When he was within 20 feet, the driver's window lowered slightly. You've gotten sloppy, Dawson. I counted 3 ways I could have taken you down before you even knew I was here. The voice froze Ryan in his tracks, gruff, authoritative, with the distinctive cadence of military command. Colonel Bennett? Ryan moved closer, disbelief evident in his voice. The window lowered further, revealing the stern features of Colonel Richard Bennett, Ryan's former commanding officer in the Special Forces, the man who had led the Khorasan mission 5 years ago. Get in before someone sees us together. We need to talk. Ryan hesitated, his mind racing. Bennett had retired from active service shortly after Khorasan, amid whispers of classified operations gone wrong. His appearance now, at this precise moment, couldn't be coincidence. How did you find me? I never lost you, son. Bennett's expression remained impassive. Now get in the damn car. Time's short, and you're in deeper than you realize. Ryan's instincts warred with his curiosity. Bennett had been David's commanding officer too, had recruited them both for the ill-fated Khorasan operation. If anyone knew the full story of what had happened there, it was Bennett. Decision made, Ryan circled to the passenger side and got in, keeping his knife accessible. Smart, Bennett commented, noticing Ryan's hand position. Never fully trust anyone, not even old COs. The interior of the car was immaculate, smelling faintly of leather and gun oil. Bennett looked older than Ryan remembered, more gray in his close-cropped hair, deeper lines around his eyes. But the air of command remained unchanged. What are you doing here, Colonel? Ryan asked directly. Same thing as you, protecting David Whitman's legacy. Bennett kept his eyes forward, scanning the garage entrances, and trying to keep you alive long enough to finish what we started in Khorasan. The mention of the mission sent the familiar jolt of adrenaline through Ryan's system. Khorasan was a disaster, a failed operation that got good men killed. Is that what you think happened? Bennett's voice remained neutral, but his knuckles whitened slightly on the steering wheel. That we failed? David died. 3 team members died. The target escaped with the prototype. Ryan's voice hardened with each statement. By any military definition, that's a failure. Bennett was silent for a long moment. What if I told you Khorasan wasn't about the target or the prototype at all? That the real mission objective was accomplished precisely as planned? Ryan stared at his former commander, processing the implications. You're saying we were a diversion? Expendable? I'm saying not everything is as it appears, especially when it comes to operations like Phoenix. Bennett finally turned to face him. Harrison isn't just a corporate thief, Dawson. He's connected to the same people who were waiting for us in Khorasan. People who've been after this technology for years. How do you know about Harrison? About Phoenix, Ryan demanded, suspicion mounting. Because I've been watching Whitman Technologies since David's death, waiting for them to make their move. Bennett pulled out a secure phone displaying a series of surveillance photos. James Harrison meeting with several men in various locations. These 2 are former intelligence operatives now working private sector. This one is a known broker for technological black markets, all connected to a group that would very much like to own the global encryption standards for the next decade. Ryan studied the images, recognizing the implications. Does Claire know about this? Claire Whitman knows her company is under threat. She doesn't know the full scope. Bennett put the phone away. Just like she doesn't know the full truth about her husband's death. The statement hung between them like a physical presence. Ryan felt his throat tighten. What truth? Bennett's expression grew grave. David didn't die because the mission failed, Ryan. He died because it succeeded. He found something in that compound, something beyond the prototype we were sent to secure, something worth dying to protect. The Phoenix fragments, Ryan murmured, pieces clicking into place. Bennett looked surprised for the first time. You know about the fragments? Just found out tonight. David built a failsafe into the system, a way to distribute and secure the encryption keys if the main technology was compromised. Bennett nodded slowly. David was always thinking 3 steps ahead. He knew the risks when he volunteered for Khorasan, knew he might not make it back. Then why send him at all? Ryan demanded, old anger resurging. Why not extract the prototype another way? Because David was the only one who could verify what we were really after. Bennett's voice dropped. The prototype was bait, Ryan. We knew it had been compromised. What we needed was confirmation of who was waiting on the other end of that transaction. Ryan processed this revelation, memories of that night reconstructing themselves with new context. The unexpected resistance they'd encountered. The way David had insisted on securing the prototype himself, sending Ryan to escort the wounded team members to extraction. You sacrificed him. The accusation fell between them, heavy with 5 years of guilt and regret. He sacrificed himself, Bennett corrected firmly. David knew exactly what he was walking into. He made his choice to protect the future of the technology he believed in and to identify the network trying to steal it. Does Claire know any of this? Bennett shook his head. The operation was classified at the highest levels. As far as she knows, David died securing a military prototype. Nothing more. Ryan leaned back against the seat, the weight of these revelations pressing on him. Why tell me this now? Because history is about to repeat itself. Bennett reached into his jacket and removed a small flash drive. Harrison has been systematically hunting for the Phoenix fragments. He's found 3 already. The last 2 are still secure, but not for long. How do you know this? Because I've been tracking their recovery operations. Bennett handed Ryan the drive. This contains surveillance on Harrison's team, financial transfers to known operatives, and communication intercepts. Enough to prove he's working for the same network we encountered in Khorasan. Ryan took the drive, turning it over in his hand. Why not take this directly to Claire? Because I don't know who else in her company is compromised. The infiltration goes deeper than Harrison. Bennett checked his watch. Tomorrow's board meeting isn't just about Phoenix, it's about removing Claire from power. Harrison has gathered enough support to force a vote of no confidence. Ryan felt a chill of recognition. The classic corporate coup: eliminate the leadership, create chaos, extract valuable assets during the confusion. I need to warn her. You need to secure the remaining fragments first, Bennett countered. If Claire is removed tomorrow, Harrison will have full access to the company's systems within hours. The fragments are the priority. Where are they? Bennett's expression turned grim. One is with me, the final fragment. He hesitated. David entrusted it to you, Ryan. You just don't know it yet. Ryan stared at his former commander. That's impossible. I would know if, would you? Bennett interrupted. Think, Dawson. What did David give you before the mission? Something personal, something you'd never part with. Ryan's mind raced through his last interactions with David before Khorasan. The planning sessions, equipment checks, final briefing, and then a moment in the barracks, just the 2 of them. Hold on to this for me, would you? Lucky charm. Give it back when we return. The small metal compass, weathered antique, with an inscription inside the lid that Ryan had never been able to fully decipher. He'd kept it all these years, carrying it in his pocket as a reminder of his fallen friend, of his failure to bring David home. The compass. Ryan whispered, realization dawning. Bennett nodded. Inside the casing. Microdot technology. The final encryption key, hidden in plain sight. Ryan reached into his pocket, fingers closing around the familiar shape of the compass he carried daily. A talisman of guilt that had unknowingly been a vital piece of David's legacy all along. Harrison doesn't know about this? Not yet, but he's getting closer. The people he works for are patient, methodical. They've spent 5 years piecing together what happened in Khorasan, tracking the fragmented technology. Bennett started the car. You need to get that compass and my fragment to Claire before the board meeting tomorrow. It's her only chance of maintaining control. And then what? Then you finish what David started. Bennett put the car in drive. You protect Phoenix from falling into the wrong hands. At all costs, the implication was clear. Just as David had done in Khorasan, I'll drop you at your vehicle. Go directly to Claire. Share nothing over electronic channels. Trust no one inside that building except her. Bennett paused. And watch out for the girl. Ryan frowned. Lily? Why? Because Harrison knows her importance to Claire. And to the system, what do you mean? Bennett's expression darkened. David built redundancies into everything he created, including access protocols. If something happens to Claire, Lily becomes the secondary access point. He'd use a child? Ryan's voice hardened with disgust. These people have no limits when billions in technology and global influence are at stake. Bennett pulled up beside Ryan's rental car. Go now. And remember, trust no one. Verify everything. Ryan exited the vehicle, mind racing with implications. As Bennett's car disappeared up the exit ramp, Ryan pulled out his phone to call Claire. No signal. He tried again. Nothing. A flash of movement in his peripheral vision was his only warning. Ryan ducked instinctively as something whistled past his ear, striking the concrete pillar behind him with a metallic ping. Sniper. Ryan dropped and rolled beneath a nearby SUV, adrenaline flooding his system. His combat training took over, mind cataloging assets, threats, and escape routes in milliseconds. Two more shots pinged off the concrete nearby, suppressed high-velocity rounds. Professional. Ryan crawled rapidly between vehicles, staying low, mentally mapping the shooter's position based on bullet trajectories. Northeast corner, elevated position, likely the roof of the adjacent parking structure. His phone vibrated in his pocket. Signal returned. Ryan pulled it out with one hand while continuing to move toward his vehicle, keeping cars between himself and the shooter's position. A text from Claire. Don't come to the office. Harrison knows. Lily and I are secure. Meet at the fallback location. The fallback location. A protocol they had established during their first week working together. A small cabin outside the city, owned through a shell company, off the grid and secure. Another shot, closer this time. The shooter was adjusting, tracking his movement. Ryan needed to break the line of sight. He spotted a fire alarm on a nearby pillar. Without hesitation, Ryan surged forward in a combat roll, came up beside the pillar, and smashed the alarm glass with his elbow. Sirens blared throughout the garage, sprinklers activated, filling the space with artificial rain and obscuring visibility. Ryan used the chaos to sprint to his vehicle, keeping low and using parked cars as cover. 3 more shots followed him, one grazing his suit jacket as he dove into the driver's seat. Ryan gunned the engine, tires squealing on the wet concrete as he accelerated toward the exit ramp. In the rearview mirror, he caught a glimpse of dark figures emerging from a stairwell. At least 3 men in tactical gear, weapons drawn. Not just a sniper team, a full hit squad. Harrison had escalated beyond corporate espionage to outright elimination. Ryan swerved to avoid another shot, then accelerated up the ramp and onto the street. His military training took over, executing evasive driving maneuvers through the late-night traffic, constantly checking for pursuit. After 15 minutes of countermeasures and route changes, Ryan was reasonably confident he'd lost any immediate tail. He pulled into an all-night diner parking lot, positioning his vehicle for a quick exit while maintaining visibility of all approaches. Ryan checked himself for injuries. Nothing serious, just a graze on his arm where a bullet had torn his jacket. More concerning was the situation itself. Harrison had deployed a professional hit team with military-grade equipment and training. This was no longer just corporate theft. It was an organized operation with significant resources. He needed to reach Claire and Lily, ensure their safety, then secure the Phoenix fragments before Harrison could acquire them. But first, he needed to check on Noah. Ryan dialed Mrs. Abernathy, his elderly neighbor who watched Noah when Ryan worked late. She answered on the second ring, her voice groggy with sleep. "Ryan, is everything all right?" "Yes, Mrs. Abernathy. Sorry to call so late. Just checking on Noah. How's his breathing?" "Steady as can be. Checked on him not 20 minutes ago. That new medicine seems to be working wonders." Relief flooded through Ryan. "Thank you. I'm running late. Might not make it home tonight. Would you mind?" "Say no more, dear. I'll keep an eye on him till morning. You know I don't sleep much anyway." Ryan thanked her again before hanging up. At least Noah was safe for now. The security upgrades Ryan had installed should deter any casual attempt to reach his son, and Harrison's team would be focused on Ryan himself at the moment. Next, Ryan texted Claire. "Headed to fallback, ETA 90 minutes, confirmed status." Her reply came seconds later. "Confirmed secure, bring the compass." Ryan froze, staring at the message. He had never mentioned the compass to Claire. Never discussed it with anyone except Bennett just minutes ago. The implications hit like a physical blow. Either Bennett had contacted Claire directly after their meeting, unlikely given his warnings about electronic communications, or Claire's phone was compromised, or Bennett himself wasn't who he claimed to be. Ryan's mind raced through possibilities, each more troubling than the last. If Bennett was compromised, then everything he'd revealed about Khorasan, about the fragments, about David's true mission, could be manipulation. But the hit team had been very real. The evidence of Harrison's corruption seemed legitimate, and most tellingly, someone knew about the compass, David's compass, that Ryan had carried for 5 years. One thing was certain, Ryan couldn't risk the fallback location until he knew who to trust. He needed independent verification, and there was only one person who might have the answers he sought. Ryan started the car and headed toward the suburbs, toward the address he'd memorized from Claire's files, Sophia Reyes's home. If anyone could verify the technical details of Bennett's claims about Phoenix, it would be the woman who had helped David build it. As he drove, Ryan's hand closed around the compass in his pocket, the metal warm from proximity to his body. For 5 years, he'd carried it as a reminder of his greatest failure. Now it might be the key to fulfilling his final promise to David Whitman. If anything happens to me, Ryan, take care of them. Claire, Lily, they're everything. Words spoken the night before Khorasan. Words Ryan had interpreted as the standard request of a soldier facing danger. Only now did he understand their true weight. The hit team, Bennett's revelations, Harrison's coup, the Phoenix fragments, all pieces of a puzzle 5 years in the making. And at the center of it all, a little girl with a one-eyed rabbit, carrying a legacy she didn't even understand. Ryan checked his rearview mirror, scanning for pursuit as he accelerated toward the suburbs. The game had changed. The stakes had escalated, and time was running out. In his pocket, David's compass seemed to pulse with urgency, a silent witness to promises made and kept, to oaths sworn in blood and honor. The road ahead disappeared into darkness, but Ryan drove forward without hesitation. Some debts could only be paid in full. The suburban street was silent as Ryan pulled up half a block from Sophia Reyes's modest two-story home. 2:17 a.m. glowed from the dashboard clock, the hour when the human body reached its lowest ebb. Ryan ignored his own fatigue, the burning graze on his arm, the weight of David's compass in his pocket. Focus narrowed to mission parameters: verify information, assess threats, protect assets. Something felt wrong. The street was too quiet, the house too dark. Ryan killed the engine and coasted to a stop, preserving night vision as he scanned for surveillance or tactical positions. Nothing obvious, but instinct screamed caution. He approached on foot, using the shadows between streetlights, moving from cover to cover with the economy of motion that had kept him alive through 3 combat tours. Reyes's house appeared normal. Modest landscaping, porch light on, no vehicles in the driveway. But the front door stood slightly ajar, a thin slice of darkness visible between door and frame. Ryan drew his folding knife, the only weapon he had. Heart rate elevated but controlled, breathing shallow and silent. He circled to the rear of the house, noting a kitchen window with the screen removed. Entry point. The back door yielded to gentle pressure. Hinges mercifully silent. Ryan slipped inside, pausing to orient. Kitchen, dark, the faint smell of coffee and something else. Metallic, familiar from countless battlefields. Blood. He moved through the house room by room, clearing each with methodical precision. Living room empty, study undisturbed. At the foot of the stairs, the first sign of struggle. A toppled side table, a framed photograph face down on the carpet. Ryan ascended slowly, testing each step before committing his weight, knife ready. At the top landing, a streak of darkness against the pale carpet. Blood trail leading to the master bedroom. The door was closed. Ryan positioned himself to the side, turned the handle slowly, and pushed the door open with the toe of his shoe. Took you long enough. A strained voice from within. Ryan pivoted into the doorway, knife raised, to find Sophia Reyes propped against her bed, a makeshift compression bandage on her shoulder, pistol gripped in her right hand. The weapon was pointed steadily at Ryan's chest. Prove you're not with them. her voice tight with pain. Ryan slowly lowered his knife. If I were, you'd already be dead. Rhea's laugh was brittle, not very reassuring. The gun remained trained on him and, tell me something only the real Ryan Dawson would know. You have a subroutine in Phoenix, something David built. A dead man's switch that contains encrypted coordinates to the fragments. Ryan kept his voice level. You told me tonight in the garage. The gun wavered slightly, then lowered. They came 20 minutes after I got home. 3 men, professional, military hardware, but not military discipline. Reyes winced as she shifted. Sloppy entry. I heard them before they reached the bedroom. Ryan moved forward, assessing her wound. Your shot? Grazed through and through on the shoulder. Reyes nodded toward a first aid kit open on the bed. Was about to stitch it myself when I heard you downstairs. They're gone for now. Grabbed my laptop, tablet, kept asking about Phoenix fragments. When I didn't answer fast enough, they decided a bullet might loosen my tongue. Ryan knelt beside her, examining the wound. The bleeding had slowed but not stopped. This needs medical attention. No hospitals, Reyes said firmly. They'll be watching. Just help me bandage it properly. As Ryan cleaned and dressed the wound, Reyes explained what had happened. The attackers had been precise, knowledgeable about Phoenix, and specifically interested in any information about the fragment locations. They'd mentioned Bennett by name. Colonel Bennett, you know him? Ryan asked, securing the bandage. Never met him, but David mentioned him, his former CO. Reyes studied Ryan's expression. They asked if Bennett had contacted me, seemed very interested in his whereabouts. Ryan's mind raced, processing this new information. If Harrison's team was hunting Bennett, it suggested the colonel wasn't working with them, but it didn't guarantee his trustworthiness either. We need to move, Ryan said, helping Reyes to her feet. They might return or have surveillance watching the house. Where to? If Harrison has compromised Claire's security, nowhere at Whitman Technologies is safe. Ryan considered their options. The fallback location was potentially compromised. His apartment would put Noah at risk. Any hotel would require ID that could be traced. I know a place, he said finally. But first, tell me everything you know about the Phoenix fragments in the dead man's switch. Reyes leaned against the wall, gathering strength. David designed Phoenix with multiple fail-safes. The core technology is useless without 5 specific encryption keys, each hidden separately. The dead man's switch activates if unauthorized extraction is attempted, erasing the central architecture and alerting the key holders. How does the switch know the difference between authorized and unauthorized access? Biometric verification. DNA-based. Reyes met his eyes. David's DNA, and after him Claire's and Lily's. The pieces clicked in Ryan's mind. That's why Bennett said Lily was in danger. If Harrison can't get Claire's biometric access, he'd use Lily's. Reyes's expression hardened. David never anticipated someone would threaten his daughter. He built the backup access for her protection, not as a vulnerability. Do you know where any of the fragments are located? Reyes shook her head. David kept that compartmentalized, said it was safer if no one person knew all 5 locations. She studied Ryan intently. But you know something, I can see it in your face. Ryan hesitated, then removed the compass from his pocket. Bennett believes this contains one of the fragments. David gave it to me before Coruscant. Reyes's eyes widened. She reached for the compass with her good hand, examining it carefully. The casing, it could conceal a microdot or chip. She looked up at Ryan. And Bennett has another fragment? So he claims. Ryan took back the compass. But until I can verify his story independently, I'm not trusting anyone with these. Smart. Reyes approved. Trust no one. Verify everything. Ryan finished the phrase, David's words echoing between them. We need to warn Claire, Reyes said. If Harrison's people came after me, they'll target her and Lily next. Already tried. Her communications may be compromised. Ryan helped Reyes toward the stairs. We need to move now, establish secure contact, and develop a counter-strategy before the board meeting. As they descended, Reyes asked the question Ryan had been avoiding. If Coruscant was about the Phoenix fragments all along, what really happened to David? Ryan's jaw tightened. The memory surged like a physical wave. Gunfire, explosions, the frantic radio calls, David's final order. Get our men out. That's an order, Ryan. I don't know, he admitted finally. Not all of it. Bennett says David sacrificed himself to protect the technology, to keep it out of enemy hands. The words felt hollow, insufficient. I was extracting wounded team members. By the time I got back to the compound, it was too late. Reyes seemed to sense the weight of guilt behind his words. David always said sacrifice was meaningless unless it protected something worthwhile. She paused at the foot of the stairs, steadying herself. He believed Phoenix could change the world, create unbreakable security for people who needed protection from surveillance, oppression, corporate override. Worth dying for? Ryan asked softly. He thought so. Reyes's voice was equally quiet. The question is, what would he want us to do now? The answer came to Ryan with absolute clarity. Protect his family. Secure his legacy. Stop Harrison. Outside, the eastern sky was beginning to lighten, the false dawn that preceded true morning. Time was running short. In a few hours, the Whitman Technologies board would convene, and Harrison would make his move against Claire. Ryan helped Reyes into his car, vigilant for surveillance. As they pulled away from the curb, he outlined his plan, such as it was: a secure location, communications equipment, and medical supplies. Then they would establish contact with Claire, verify her situation, and coordinate a counteroffensive before the board meeting. I know someone who can help, Ryan said, turning toward the industrial district. An old teammate who owes me a favor. He runs a private security firm now. Off the books, no questions asked. Reyes nodded, her face pale but determined. And if Claire's been compromised? If Harrison already has her and Lily? Ryan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Then we implement the dead man's switch. Burn Phoenix to the ground before Harrison can weaponize it. David would approve, Reyes said softly. He always said the technology was less important than the people it was meant to protect. As they drove through the awakening city, Ryan's mind returned to his last conversation with David before Coruscant. They'd been checking equipment, the rest of the team already loaded in the transport. If anything happens to me, Ryan, take care of them. Claire, Lily, they're everything. Nothing's going to happen to you, David. We go in, we get the prototype, we get out. Standard op. David had looked at him then, a strange intensity in his eyes. Just promise me, brother, no matter what goes down, you protect my family. You know I will, but save the deathbed drama for when we're actually dying, okay? David had laughed, clapping him on the shoulder. Fair enough. Just remember, trust no one. Verify everything. 5 years later, those words guided Ryan through the most dangerous mission of his life. Not for country this time, but for a promise made to a friend, for a debt that could never truly be repaid. The compass in his pocket seemed to grow heavier with each passing mile. The industrial warehouse looked abandoned, its exterior weathered and unremarkable among dozens of similar structures. But Ryan noted the discreet security cameras, the reinforced entry points, the clear sight lines from multiple vantage points. Defensive architecture disguised as urban decay. He parked in an adjacent lot, scanning for surveillance before helping Reyes from the car. Her color had improved slightly, but the makeshift bandage was soaked through. She needed proper medical attention soon. Ryan approached the side entrance, positioning Reyes behind him as he knocked. 3 short, 2 long, a pattern from another lifetime. Seconds passed, then the sound of multiple locks disengaging. The door opened to reveal a mountain of a man, shaved head gleaming under fluorescent light, arms corded with muscle and tattoos. His impassive expression broke into a wide grin at the sight of Ryan. "Dawson, you ugly bastard!" The man engulfed Ryan in a brief, powerful embrace before stepping back to assess him. "You look like hell." "Thanks, Decker. You're as charming as ever." Ryan gestured to Reyes. "She needs medical attention." Gunshot wound through and through, left shoulder. Decker's demeanor shifted instantly to professional efficiency. "Get her inside." He spoke into a wrist-mounted communicator. Tango, Medbay, GSW, non-critical, full security protocols. The interior of the warehouse belied its exterior. A state-of-the-art operations center hummed with technology and purpose. Monitors displayed security feeds, communication systems, and what appeared to be active operations in multiple locations. Personnel moved with military precision, acknowledging Ryan with nods of recognition. Decker led them to a small medical suite where a woman in scrubs waited. "This is Dr. Reeves, former combat medic, now our resident patch-up artist. She'll take care of your friend." As Dr. Reeves attended to Reyes, Decker guided Ryan to a secure briefing room, closing the door behind them. So, Decker folded massive arms across his chest. What kind of shitstorm have you walked into this time? Ryan gave him the condensed version. His position at Whitman Technologies, Harrison's corporate espionage, the Phoenix technology, and the escalation to armed pursuit. He omitted Bennett, the compass, and the specifics of Coruscant, sharing only what Decker needed to understand the immediate threat. Decker listened without interruption, his expression growing more serious with each detail. When Ryan finished, he let out a low whistle. Corporate black ops with military hardware. Ballsy. Decker leaned forward. What do you need? Secure communications, medical supplies, tactical gear, if you can spare it. Ryan hesitated. And a team on standby. This might get complicated fast. Already complicated if they're shooting at you. Decker stood. Communications room is yours. I'll gear you up and put a four-man team on alert status. He paused at the door. One condition, Dawson, name it. You tell me what this is really about. Decker's eyes were shrewd. The unredacted version, because you didn't come to me just for a burner phone and some bandages. Ryan held his former teammate's gaze. Decker had saved his life twice in Afghanistan, had been one of the few who stood by him after the Coruscant inquiry. If anyone had earned trust, it was him. It's about David Whitman, Ryan said finally, about finishing what he started in Coruscant and keeping a promise I made 5 years ago. Understanding dawned in Decker's eyes. The ghost that's been haunting you. He nodded once. Whatever you need, brother. No questions asked. After Decker left, Ryan accessed the secure communication system, inputting the emergency contact protocol he'd established with Claire during their contingency planning. Triple encrypted, routed through multiple anonymous servers, designed to be untraceable even if Whitman Technologies systems were compromised. The message was simple. Verify status, compass secure, Reyes compromised but stable. Await instructions. While waiting for a response, Ryan checked on Reyes. Dr. Reeves had properly cleaned, stitched, and bandaged the wound, administering antibiotics and pain management. She'll need rest, but the wound was clean. No major vessels or nerves damaged. Lucky. Reyes, sitting upright on the examination table, looked pale but alert. Luck had nothing to do with it. I ducked. Ryan smiled despite himself. Good to see you're feeling better. Good enough to help take down Harrison. Reyes affirmed. Please tell me you have a plan that doesn't involve more people shooting at us. Working on it. Ryan showed her the message he'd sent Claire. We need to confirm her status first, then coordinate our approach before the board meeting. What time is the meeting scheduled? 7:30 a.m. Ryan checked his watch. Less than 4 hours from now. Reyes frowned. Even if we establish contact, what can we do? Harrison has board support, armed operatives, and potentially access to Whitman Technologies security systems. We have the compass and fragment, Ryan countered, and Bennett claims to have another. If we can secure those and confirm Claire and Lily's safety, we can activate the dead man's switch. Deny Harrison the technology entirely. Scorched earth, Reyes murmured. David would approve, but it means destroying years of work, innovations that could have helped millions. Better destroyed than weaponized, Ryan said firmly. The secure communication terminal chimed, indicating a response. Ryan accessed the message, Reyes reading over his shoulder. Status secure. Lily with me. Harrison moving faster than anticipated. Board meeting moved to 7:30 a.m. Meet at secondary location Alpha at 6:15. Bring compass and Reyes if possible. Trust no one. Ryan checked the authentication code embedded in the message. It matched Claire's personal key, one that would be nearly impossible to fake without direct access to her biometric data. Secondary location Alpha, Reyes mused. The boathouse at Lake Mercer? Ryan nodded. Designated fallback point if primary was compromised. Remote, defensible, with multiple escape routes. It could be a trap, Reyes warned. Everything could be a trap. Ryan straightened, but the authentication checks out and we're running out of options and time. He returned to the briefing room where Decker waited with an array of equipment laid out on the table. Tactical gear, communications, weapons. Your secure message got a response. Authentication protocols verified. We need transport to Lake Mercer, Ryan said, examining the tactical vest Decker had provided. And that team on standby. Decker nodded, already prepping. ETA 4, ready status in 20 minutes. He gestured to the equipment. Take what you need. The Glock is clean, untraceable. The vest will stop most small arms fire. Ryan began gearing up, the familiar routine of preparing for a mission settling his mind. Check weapon, secure extra magazines, test communications, arrange medical supplies for quick access. The muscle memory from countless operations guided his hands. One more thing, Decker said, placing a small metal case on the table. Thought you might need this. Ryan opened the case to find a tactical sidearm he recognized immediately, a custom-modified MK-23 with suppressor attachments, his weapon from Special Forces days. How did you— Quan kept it after you left service. Decker said simply, figured you might want it back someday. The weapon felt right in Ryan's hand, an extension of himself from another life. He checked it methodically, muscle memory guiding each movement. Thank you. The words were inadequate for the gesture's significance. Decker clasped his shoulder. Bring it back when you're done, preferably with you still attached to it. 20 minutes later, Ryan and Reyes were in a nondescript SUV headed toward Lake Mercer. Dawn painted the sky in streaks of pink and gold, the city giving way to suburbs, then to the wooded areas surrounding the lake. Reyes sat silently beside him, the tactical vest Decker had provided looking oversized on her slender frame. You know how to use that? Ryan asked, nodding to the compact pistol she held. David taught me, said everyone involved with Phoenix should know basic self-defense. Reyes checked the weapon with surprising confidence. Never thought I'd need to use it. With luck, you won't today either. The lake came into view, its surface mist-shrouded in the early morning light. Ryan followed the access road to a secluded area where several private boathouses dotted the shoreline. Claire's, or rather a shell company's, was the third structure, a modest wooden building with a small dock extending into the water. Ryan parked 100 yards away, concealing the vehicle in a stand of trees. Stay here until I verify it's clear, he instructed Reyes, like hell. She replied calmly, we go together, David's rule, never split the team when entering an unknown situation. Ryan recognized the stubborn set of her jaw, so reminiscent of David himself. Fine, but stay behind me, and if anything feels wrong, run like hell. I know the drill. They approached cautiously, Ryan scanning for surveillance, traps, or signs of hostile presence. Nothing obvious, but the hairs on the back of his neck stood at attention. The small parking area beside the boathouse held a single vehicle. The black SUV Ryan recognized as Claire's private transportation. The boathouse door was closed, no lights visible within. Ryan positioned Reyes at his 6, covering their rear approach while he moved to the side of the building. 3 light taps on the window, the prearranged signal. Silence. Ryan tried again, tension mounting. Nothing. He tried the door handle, unlocked. Warning bells clanged in his mind. Drawing his sidearm, Ryan pushed the door open carefully, staying clear of the potential line of fire. Claire, it's Ryan. No response. With practiced efficiency, Ryan entered in a low combat stance, weapon ready, eyes adjusting to the dimness within. The boathouse was sparsely furnished, a small sitting area, kitchenette, and doors leading presumably to sleeping quarters in the boat slip. Movement to his right. Ryan pivoted, weapon raised. Stand down, Dawson. Claire Whitman emerged from the hallway, her own pistol held steadily at her side. Her normally immaculate appearance was disheveled, dark circles under her eyes, but her gaze remained sharp and focused. Where's Reyes? Covering the rear. Ryan lowered his weapon slightly but didn't holster it. Where's Lily? Sleeping, back bedroom. Claire's posture remained tense. Show me the compass. Ryan studied her carefully. First, verify something only you would know, the name of the stuffed rabbit Lily carries. A flicker of approval crossed Claire's face. Captain Hoppy, missing his left eye because he was brave in a battle, according to Lily. She nodded toward his pocket. The compass, Ryan. Ryan reached slowly into his pocket, producing David's compass. Claire's eyes fixed on it with an intensity that confirmed its significance. May I? Ryan hesitated, then handed it to her. Claire examined it carefully, fingers tracing the worn metal before returning it. Keep it secure. It's one of the keys. So Bennett was telling the truth. Ryan murmured. Claire's expression sharpened. Bennett contacted you? When Ryan gave her the condensed version of his parking garage encounter with their former commanding officer, Bennett's revelations about Khorasan and his claim to possess another fragment, Claire listened intently, her expression growing more troubled with each detail. Bennett disappeared after the Coruscant inquiry. David always believed he was forced out to silence him about what really happened. And what did really happen? Ryan asked directly. Bennett claims the mission objective was accomplished, that David sacrificed himself to protect Phoenix. Claire's gaze turned inward, remembering. David knew the risks when he volunteered, said someone had to verify the technology hadn't been compromised, had to identify who was trying to acquire it. Her eyes refocused on Ryan. He trusted Bennett, and he trusted you to get the team out if things went wrong. The old guilt surged again. I left him behind. You followed orders, Claire corrected firmly. David's orders. He knew exactly what he was doing. She holstered her weapon. We can discuss Coruscant later. Right now, we need to focus on Harrison and the board meeting. Ryan signaled Reyes to enter. As she joined them, Claire assessed her condition with a sharp eye. You're injured. I'll live, Reyes replied simply. Harrison's team paid me a visit, asked about the fragments, mentioned Bennett specifically. Claire nodded grimly. They've been systematically eliminating anyone connected to Phoenix's original architecture. 3 of David's former team members have died in accidents over the past year. How did Harrison find them? Ryan asked. The project was classified, compartmentalized. Someone gave him access to David's personal files. Claire said bitterly, someone with highest level clearance. The implication hung in the air. Only a handful of people had such access. Claire herself, perhaps the head of security, and potentially board members with special clearance. Inside job beyond Harrison. Reyes concluded, we need to assume the entire executive team is compromised. Claire agreed. That's why I've moved the board meeting earlier. Less time for Harrison to consolidate his position. What's your plan? Ryan asked. Claire moved to the kitchenette, retrieving a laptop from a hidden compartment beneath the sink. Harrison expects me to walk into that board meeting unprepared, to be blindsided by his vote of no confidence. Instead, I'll present this. She opened the laptop, displaying financial records, communications, and surveillance photos. A comprehensive dossier on Harrison's activities. Evidence of his collusion with external parties to steal proprietary technology, Claire explained. Not enough to have him arrested, but more than enough to force the board to remove him, especially when coupled with Reyes's testimony about the security breaches. Ryan studied the evidence. He'll have countermeasures in place, people ready to discredit this information. Which is why we need the fragments, Claire confirmed. If we can prove the Phoenix architecture has been compromised and that Harrison is responsible, the board will have no choice but to act. And if they don't, Reyes asked quietly. Claire's expression hardened. Then we activate the dead man's switch, burn it all down before Harrison can weaponize David's legacy. A small voice from the hallway interrupted them. Mommy, who are you talking to? All 3 adults turned to see Lily standing in the doorway. Captain Hoppy clutched to her chest, hair tousled from sleep. Her eyes widened when she saw Ryan. Sandwich man! She rushed forward, stopping just short of Ryan, suddenly shaved him. Ryan knelt to her level, the way he always did with Noah. Hey there, Lily, remember me? She nodded solemnly. You knew my daddy, and you have sad eyes. Ryan smiled gently. Not so sad today. It's good to see you. Lily turned to Reyes, studying her with the direct curiosity only children possess. You're hurt. Does it hurt a lot? Reyes' expression softened. Not too bad. Your dad taught me to be brave. Like Captain Hoppy, Lily said seriously, holding up her rabbit for inspection. He got hurt in a battle, too. Claire moved to her daughter, placing protective hands on her shoulders. Lily, sweetheart, why don't you get dressed? We need to leave soon. Are we going home? Lily asked hopefully. Not yet, sweetie. We have a stop to make first. Claire guided her daughter back toward the bedroom. I'll help you find your clothes. When they were gone, Ryan turned to Reyes. Bennett said Lily is a secondary access point for Phoenix. Biometric verification linked to David's DNA. Reyes nodded grimly. It was meant as a safeguard, ensuring the technology remained within the family's control, if anything happened to Claire. David never anticipated it becoming a vulnerability. Harrison knows? Ryan stated rather than asked. Must do, Reyes confirmed. It would explain why he's been having Lily watched, why her school coincidentally hired a new security guard last month. Ryan's tactical mind processed the implications. We can't bring her to the board meeting. Too exposed. Too many unknown variables. Agreed, Reyes said. But she can't stay here either. Once Harrison realizes we've gone off-grid, this will be one of the first places he checks. We need a secure location, someone trustworthy to protect her. Ryan thought of Noah, safely at home with Mrs. Abernathy, unaware of the danger surrounding his father. I know a place, but we need to move now, before the board meeting preparations begin. A soft noise from the hallway drew their attention. Claire returned, her expression grim. Lily's getting dressed, she said quietly. Ryan, I need you to take her somewhere safe. Harrison's people will be watching the building. My home. All known locations. She can't be anywhere associated with me or Whitman Technologies. I have a place in mind, Ryan assured her. But what about you and Reyes? Harrison will have security in place for the board meeting, people loyal to him. I still have allies within the company, Claire replied. The head of security owes me his career. He'll ensure we can access the building and the boardroom. And the dead man's switch? Reyes asked. If things go wrong, we need to be prepared to activate it. Claire's eyes hardened with resolve. I've prepared the protocols. If Harrison moves against us, if there's any indication Lily is in danger, I'll trigger it myself. She turned to Ryan. But I need the compass to complete the sequence. Ryan hesitated, his hand moving instinctively to his pocket. You're sure? David entrusted it to you for safekeeping. Now I'm asking you to trust me to use it as he intended. Claire held out her hand. Please, Ryan, it's the only way to ensure Phoenix stays protected. The moment stretched between them, laden with unspoken history, with promises made and kept. Finally, Ryan removed the compass, its weight familiar, in his palm. He placed it in Claire's outstretched hand, feeling as if he were surrendering a part of himself. David would want you to have it, he said quietly. Claire's fingers closed around the compass, her composure slipping momentarily. Thank you. She tucked it securely into an inner pocket of her jacket. Now let's get Lily to safety, then end this once and for all. The sun had fully risen by the time Ryan pulled into the small parking lot of Riverdale Elementary School. The building was quiet, most students not due to arrive for another hour. Lily sat in the back seat, Captain Hoppy clutched to her chest, watching the unfamiliar surroundings with wary curiosity. Is this where I'm going to hide? She asked. Ryan smiled reassuringly in the rearview mirror. Not hide, just visit. I have a friend here who's going to look after you while your mom takes care of some important business. Is it because of the bad people? Lily's directness was disarming. The ones Mommy's worried about. Ryan turned in his seat to face her. Your mom's very brave, Lily. Like your dad was. She's making sure those people can't take what doesn't belong to them. Lily nodded solemnly. Daddy always said taking things that aren't yours is wrong, even if you really, really want them. Your dad was a smart man. Ryan checked his watch. 6:45 a.m. Claire and Reyes would be approaching Whitman Technologies now, implementing the first phase of their plan. Come on, let's go meet my friend. He helped Lily from the car, scanning the surroundings for any sign of surveillance or threat. The school grounds appeared normal, empty at this early hour except for a few teachers' cars in the staff parking area. Ryan led Lily to a side entrance, using his keycard to access the building. He'd called ahead, arranging everything during the drive from the lake. Now he guided Lily through quiet hallways to a classroom near the back of the building. The door opened before they reached it, revealing Mrs. Abernathy's kind, weathered face. The elderly woman who had been Ryan's neighbor and Noah's occasional caretaker for 3 years smiled warmly at Lily. Well, hello there, young lady. You must be Lily. I've heard so much about you. She knelt, despite her arthritis, extending a hand. I'm Mrs. Abernathy. I'm a friend of Ryan's, and I have a special guest waiting to meet you. Lily looked questioningly at Ryan, who nodded encouragement. She took Mrs. Abernathy's hand tentatively. Is it another grown-up? Mrs. Abernathy chuckled. No, dear, it's Noah, Ryan's son. He's about your age, and he's very excited to have a friend visit this morning before school starts. Lily's eyes widened with interest. Ryan has a little boy, too? I sure do, Ryan confirmed, and he's been wanting to meet you. Inside the classroom, Noah sat at a small table, coloring intently. He looked up as they entered, his face brightening at the sight of his father. Dad! He rushed over, throwing his arms around Ryan's waist. Mrs. A said you had a surprise. Is this her? He peered curiously at Lily. Ryan ruffled his son's hair affectionately. Noah, this is Lily. Lily, this is my son, Noah. The children regarded each other with a direct assessment on only kids can manage. Then Noah spotted Captain Hoppy. Cool rabbit, he said appreciatively. What happened to his eye? He lost it being brave in a battle, Lily explained, her reserve melting slightly. Awesome, Noah said with genuine admiration. Want to see my dinosaur drawing? It's a T-Rex with laser eyes. Just like that, the connection was made. Lily followed Noah to the table, Captain Hoppy tucked securely under one arm. Ryan moved to Mrs. Abernathy, speaking quietly. Thank you for doing this. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Nonsense, the older woman said warmly. Noah has been wanting a play date for ages, and any friend of yours is a friend of mine. Her kind eyes grew serious. Is everything all right, Ryan? You look troubled. Just work complications. Ryan assured her, I should be back by normal pickup time, but if anything changes, I'll call. Mrs. Abernathy patted his arm. Don't you worry about these two. We'll have a wonderful morning together. Ryan approached the children's table, kneeling beside Lily. I have to go help your mom now, Lily, but Mrs. Abernathy and Noah will take good care of you until we come back. Lily looked up from the dinosaur drawing, her expression suddenly serious beyond her years. Are you going to fight the bad people? Ryan considered his answer carefully. I'm going to make sure they don't take what isn't theirs, just like your dad would want. Lily nodded solemnly, then surprised him by wrapping small arms around his neck in a quick hug. Be careful, she whispered. Mommy needs you to come back. The simple statement hit Ryan with unexpected force. He returned the hug gently. I will. I promise. As he stood to leave, Noah caught his hand. Dad, is everything okay? Ryan saw the worry in his son's eyes, the perceptiveness that sometimes startled him. Everything's fine, buddy. Just helping a friend with a problem at work. Like when you helped Mr. Rodriguez when his car wouldn't start? Noah's brow furrowed with concentration. Ryan smiled, touched by his son's attempt to understand. Something like that. Bigger problem, same idea. Okay, Noah seemed satisfied. I'll take care of Lily till you get back. I know you will. Ryan hugged his son quickly. Be good for Mrs. Abernathy, I'll see you this afternoon. As Ryan left the classroom, he glanced back one more time. The children were already bent over the drawing together, Lily pointing to something on the page, Noah nodding enthusiastically. In that moment, they were just kids, untouched by the shadows of corporate espionage, classified technology, or parents' legacies. Ryan would do everything in his power to keep it that way. Whitman Technologies loomed against the morning sky, its glass facade reflecting the sunrise in sheets of gold and amber. Ryan parked in a service area 2 blocks away, using the maintenance access he'd memorized during his time with the company. Claire's text had been brief but clear. Proceed to server room via maintenance corridors. Reyes and I entering through executive elevator. Meet 7:15. Ryan moved through the building's hidden arteries, service corridors, maintenance and maintenance shafts, utility rooms, invisible as always to the corporate world on the other side of the walls. His tactical vest was concealed beneath a maintenance uniform, his sidearms secured in a shoulder holster, extra magazines distributed in accessible pockets. The server room occupied a significant portion of the building's 3rd sub-basement, a fortress of climate-controlled technology secured by multiple layers of biometric authentication. Ryan approached via the maintenance access tunnel, using the override codes Claire had provided to bypass the initial security checkpoints. At the final door, he paused, assessing. The security panel showed active, no signs of tampering. He entered the override sequence, waited for the confirming beep, then slipped inside. The server room hummed with the sound of powerful computing systems, racks of equipment extending in orderly rows throughout the space. In the center, a glass-enclosed control station served as the nerve center for the entire operation. Reyes was already there, her injured shoulder immobilized in a proper medical sling, fingers flying across a specialized keyboard. Claire stood beside her, tense and vigilant, the compass open on the console before them. Right on time, Claire acknowledged as Ryan joined them. Reyes is accessing the Phoenix architecture now. We need to verify the fragment status before the board meeting. Any sign of Harrison or his security team? Ryan asked, positioning himself to monitor the server room entrance. Not yet, but security logged him entering the building 20 minutes ago. Claire's expression was grim. He's gathering his allies, preparing for the confrontation. Reyes looked up from her work. I've accessed the core architecture. The system registers 3 fragments as potentially compromised. Too secure. She pointed to a schematic on the screen. David's failsafe is still intact, but there are signs someone's been probing it, testing for vulnerabilities. Harrison, Claire confirmed. How long before the board meeting? Ryan asked, checking his watch. 12 minutes. Claire nodded toward the compass. Almost ready. Reyes needs to integrate the fragment from the compass into the failsafe protocol. Then, if necessary, we can trigger the dead man's switch remotely during the meeting. Reyes carefully opened the compass's casing, revealing a tiny storage device embedded within. David, you brilliant paranoid man, she murmured with grudging admiration as she extracted the device. This will take a few minutes to integrate. As Reyes worked, Claire moved closer to Ryan, her voice low. Lily, she's secure? With Noah and my neighbor at his school, Harrison has no way to connect them to me. Ryan kept his eyes on the entrance. She was brave. Worried about you. A flicker of emotion crossed Claire's face. When this is over, I'm taking her away for a while, somewhere without board meetings, corporate politics, or her father's ghost hanging over everything. She'll like that. Ryan said, she needs her mother more than she needs her father's legacy. Claire studied him thoughtfully. And what about you, Ryan? What will you do when this is over? The question caught him off guard. For 5 years, Ryan had lived day to day, focused on survival, on providing for Noah, on managing the guilt and memories of Coruscant. The future had always been a vague concept, something to endure rather than plan for. I haven't thought that far ahead, he admitted. You should, Claire said quietly. David would want you to live, not just exist. She hesitated. Noah deserves a father who isn't haunted by the past. Before Ryan could respond, Reyes interrupted. It's done. The compass fragment is integrated. The failsafe is primed and ready. Claire straightened, CEO mask sliding into place. Excellent. Transfer the activation protocol to my secure device. If Harrison makes his move during the meeting, I'll trigger it remotely. Reyes completed the transfer, then looked up at Claire. Bad. What about Bennett? If he really has another fragment, shouldn't we try to contact him? Too risky, Claire decided. For all we know, Harrison has him already. We proceed with what we have. She checked her watch. It's time. The board will be assembling now. Ryan assessed their options. I'll take point, clear the route to the boardroom. Reyes stays here to monitor systems and provide technical backup. Claire makes the presentation. Claire nodded agreement. If anything goes wrong, if Harrison has more support than we anticipated, I'll activate the failsafe. Phoenix will be erased rather than compromised. And Harrison, Reyes asked? Exposed, removed, and prosecuted, Claire said firmly. For corporate espionage at minimum, potentially treason if we can prove foreign involvement. Ryan wasn't so sure it would be that clean. Men like Harrison with resources and connections rarely faced full consequences for their actions. But that was a problem for later. Right now, they needed to focus on the immediate threat. Let's move, he said, checking his weapon discreetly. Stay behind me. Maintain distance in case we're separated. They exited the server room, Ryan leading the way through the maintenance quarters toward the executive level. As they approached the transition point to the main building, Ryan's combat instincts registered a change in the environment, subtle but unmistakable. Wait, he whispered, halting their progress. Something's wrong. Claire tensed beside him. What is it? Ryan listened intently, years of battlefield awareness guiding his senses. The building's too quiet. Executive floor should be busy with staff arriving, preparation for the board meeting. I'm not hearing normal activity. He eased forward to the access door, carefully checking the corridor beyond through the small security window. The executive floor appeared deserted. No assistants at their desks, no security personnel at their stations. Empty. Trap. Ryan concluded, drawing back. Harrison's cleared the floor, probably isolated the board members already. Controlled the environment. Claire's expression hardened. We need another approach. Maintenance elevator to the roof, Ryan decided. Then down the executive stairwell, less predictable than coming up from below.